Hi guys, can you hear me now? Well, I hope you can all hear me. So just to introduce today's drawing, we're working on the third prompt for Drawlloween. So the third prompt is witch. So I've got, actually I think it may be the fourth one. So we did this one last year. And I did the little piggy, so if you want to follow the story on my Instagram account, you can have a look. But we've got some webcam issues, I think. So the story last year was that she can perform some magic tricks, but the only one she can successfully perform is turning this little piglet into, well, a piglet. So she can only turn things into piglets. She's not too sad about the fact that that's the only magic trick she can perform though, so it's all good. And so here we have her on a broomstick with her little pigly friend just flying about, I guess. Murders. The soon to be streaming and back soon screen and so on look fancy. Did you make those in Photoshop? Yes, I did. So I'm actually wanting to try out a video one. Hopefully that'll work out soon, but we'll see if I have more time. So I've had to adjust the music a little bit today. Just let me know if that's too loud as well. So how's your day been, Murders? Must be pretty early over there. Sorry, I've been tossing up which one of my other drawings I need to turn into a fully fledged storybook. The next one I'm thinking of making into a full book would be my sketch of Humphrey's Humongous Hunger. And that's a story about a dog who can't stop eating. But yeah, at the moment I'm working on a Humpty Dumpty book, so I don't have a lot of time to work on that. But hopefully in the near future I'll get that one started. So my thoughts were, if I can make this one the next in line, then I'll have three pretty cool books. Wasn't sure if the music had left us in the dark there. Murders. Hard to see the bottom broom lines, but I can see the fancy pet and character. Well, that's awesome. I think sketches have a little bit of a hard time showing up, to be honest. I tried my best to adjust the contrast, but it doesn't really work well, so this is the best I could get it to show up. Colored drawings and paintings do a little bit better, but again, they're not the best. I obviously don't have a really high-end camera, so this is about as much as it can pick up. But hopefully you can see enough what's going on, and luckily, you know, if they're more done, we can see a little bit more. So just gotta keep at it. Murders, it's pretty much the start of my day, but so far, fine. What about you? Yeah, well, I had a pretty relaxing day. Just did some client work this morning, and then I actually had a lot of issues with my audio that I had to fix up, issues with the internet that I had to fix up, but we got there in the end, so it's okay. It's not too bad now. So once I fixed that up, I started this drawing, and yeah, so been really excited to get this started all day. I think I actually have a couple of people on Instagram who've been interested in storybooks. I wasn't really sure if that would get a lot of traction. You know, being kids' books and all. Obviously, mine would be slightly different, but just wasn't sure if people would actually be interested in getting those. So, but yeah, it's a long project. I don't expect Humpty Dumpty will be finished till probably end of this year. So hopefully I can get that working. If I stick to the timeline and everything, that would be awesome. But yeah, next year we'll definitely have a nice book of Humpty, and then I can start the next one in line. But yeah, I need to still figure out what the story would be for my little witch one if I did happen to decide to sketch her as a book. Not sure what it would be, but spend some time thinking about that sometime next year. I've also had to put all my my painting projects on hold this year because Drawlloween is always a very busy time for artists. You don't really get a lot of chance to work on anything else, so decided to put those on hold for a bit so I don't smash my schedule. But yeah, I'm not the only one who does that. I had to read about a couple of different artists who clear their schedule. Even go so far as to clear professional stuff out of their schedule, so they don't take on, client commissions. They don't take on anything like that, which is pretty crazy considering it's just a social media, event. Is nothing, spectacularly important. They don't get money out of it or anything, but yeah, I think it's just, well, part of it is the community really loves joining in that kind of thing, and it's only on once a year, so you only have one chance to take part in it and everything. So there's that, but yeah, it is still pretty crazy. I think the music's left us for some reason. Or it just keeps dying down. I'm definitely pretty excited to color all of these in Procreate as well once I'm done. Not sure if we'll have enough time to finish that before October starts hitting us, but we'll see. Almost forgot about his tail over there. And probably one of my favourite parts about drawing pigs is drawing their curly tail. And there it is, music hopped off to Musicland. Exactly. I think it just escaped for a second there. Thought it could go on vacation. I think we've got a couple of new Drawlloween prompts that feature some folklore creatures as well that you'd be interested in, Murders. But yeah, definitely it's really cool because I actually never drew a bat squatch before, and that's one of the prompts that we're going to have to look at. So I'm gonna have to figure out what that even is, as well as a couple of others that I've never seen. Luckily, I play Fallout, so I'm somewhat familiar with a few of them, but yeah, there's definitely a couple of new ones. Murders. Oh, interesting. Folklore. Exactly. So a bunch of them are definitely heavily focused on folklore every year. I think, so the one I know is about Squatch, but yeah, there's definitely a few others if you want to have a look at the prompts that we'll be doing. Here it is. I still got about 10 half-finished drawings waiting though. I don't think it's a good idea to start a new one yet. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I know the feeling. I hate when I start something and then I just leave it halfway, so I try to never do that. But you can't always help yourself sometimes. Things just interrupt you and you have to leave it off and continue on later, but it's alright. You'll finish them sometime. Will any of you guys be joining in on Inktober or Drawlloween this year? Murders, if I finish these 10 drawings before October, oh good luck, that's a lot of work. I'm just hoping I can get a couple of them done before it hits me, so I have somewhat of a head start, but yeah, that's intense, finishing all 10. You have to break it up in over a span of a few days to get that done. Have you shared any of your drawings on our Discord channel? Murders, yeah, I am Sven on Discord, I think. Oh, right, that's why I didn't recognize you. That's awesome. I saw you introducing yourself. I used to despise drawing clothing folds, and now I'm really just loving it whenever I get to draw clothing. It's one of my favorite things to draw. But it can sure be a headbanger. Especially if you get so caught up and you don't know what you're doing and you have to redo everything. Murders, clothing drawing is an acquired taste. Indeed, it definitely is. Once you like it though, so that's good. I did have to be forced into it when we were at uni, and got sort of pressed into drawing a lot of draped clothes. It wasn't super fun to begin with, but by the end of it you sort of understood what it was about and you enjoyed it a little bit more. It's been so windy today. We're just starting to think that summer started and now everything's gone all cold again. It makes me sad. Murders, it's wet and rain here. Summer is over and autumn started. Leaves are getting colourful though, so still it'll look fabulous for a bit. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we're a little bit different over here. We've just started spring actually, so yeah, on the other side of the spectrum. But yeah, fall definitely looks gorgeous. I used to work somewhere where the whole street would just get coloured in these gorgeous autumn trees, and it was lovely. Trying to keep her clothing consistent to how I had it last year, just so she looks like the same character and all. I had to make her face match as well. She's definitely drawn a lot smaller this time, so it's going to be hard to get all that detail in that I did last year, but that's alright. I'll work my way through it. So what is your favourite season, guys? I think mine would definitely have to be spring, because it's warm enough that you can get out of bed comfortably, but it's still nice and sunny and not too hot, and all the flowers are blooming, so it's a good time. Plus you can wear boots, which is awesome. Murders. Being consistent is hard. Winter, I think, with proper snow and some auroras. Do you get those where you live? Really? You're so lucky. We don't. Never seen one before. That must be so awesome. Murders with proper snow and some... oh, sorry, I already read that. It seemed like the chat flipped out from me for a second there. Apparently it was so windy today, my sister's bike fell off her bike rack while she was driving, which is pretty scary. So I'm hoping it didn't get too much damage in the process. Don't want that happening while you're driving, that's awful. I really love when I can sort of just start the basics of the drawing with my blender. You don't have to go too dark, and you can just see the little shapes starting to come through. Murders. Oh, hopefully, yeah. How strong is the wind average there? I'm not sure. I didn't check, but it's not too bad over here where I'm at. But apparently she was driving through the hills and it was quite intense. So not sure if the bike wasn't fastened properly or what happened, but yeah, that's crazy. I think I added some frills to her dress last year. Murders, those costumes you shared were really cool. Definitely got to use some costumes as a ref at some point. When I was a kid, I never knew pigs were so big. And then we went to this animals petting zoo at some point, and I saw a pig for the first time, and it was terrifying. They were so huge. But then the more I looked at them, they were just sitting there so relaxed and sweet and calm, and I was obsessed with them. But it was so sad because they all got kept in these really small pens. It just really isn't fair. Especially if you know how smart pigs are. It's really not fair to keep them in such small areas. Murders. The alpha males may even try to attack. Pigs are quite huge. They're scary when you encounter them in the forest, though. I'm guessing those are wild pigs, though. These were definitely not wild pigs. You wouldn't want to go near a wild pig. I'm guessing they're really territorial and stuff. But luckily we don't have any of those near where I live. Apparently there was a lady who got attacked by a bear recently, and the bear completely mauled her in front of her kid. It was horrible, but it's all because they're building more and more into the forests, and bears just don't have enough food to eat, so they're starting to forage closer to civilian areas. So people are actually trying to both conserve the bears, but at the same time, conserve the forests, because the more we build into them, the worse it is. The closer they come to populated areas, and that's when stuff like that happens and goes bad. It's awful, though. That poor kid. Definitely got to make sure her broomstick is straight, though, before I add too much detail to it. And I think we've got some issues with it over there, if I'm right. That side seems to be fine. I think it's okay. Murders. Pigs, bears, lynxes, wolves, foxes, moose, etc. I've seen all of them in the forest. That's awesome. Do you live in a very unpopulated area? Sounds like it. If you're seeing so many different animals, that's awesome. Do you ever take photos of them? Murders. Broom issues. Is it Quidditch certified? That's a good one. Not sure. Definitely a good one. You should help me write comments for my Instagram account. Could use someone like you. This piggy definitely seems very happy that he gets to hold the wand. Not sure it's quite safe in his hands though. Who knows what he might do with it. So we probably won't finish this one on this stream, but I'm thinking of doing a second stream a little bit later today and see if I can finish the whole thing today. I still need to finish up the drawing I did for my changeling, so I was thinking I could maybe fit that in today as well, but this one could be a little bit full on, we'll see. I really used to struggle drawing boots as well at some point. I still don't feel like I'm perfect at them, but yeah, it's definitely gotten a lot easier to understand what a shoe shape does. Strangely enough, I used to find drawing feet on their own a lot easier than drawing shoes. Not sure why, but that's just me. Murders, I'll sadly need to hop off soon. I need to visit and help my grandparents with chores. Well, if you're leaving, that's all good. I hope I can catch you in the second stream. If not, I'll catch you another time, but thanks for hopping by. I really appreciate that. You'll definitely be able to watch the end product. So if not, I post all of my finished sketches earlier on Patreon, but yeah, no, I'll definitely be posting it in Drawlloween on Instagram as well. So just keep an eye on that. You'll see what she turns out as anyways. Murders. Yeah, I'll go find proper fancy clothes for so hopping, so I am off. Was nice and hopefully I'll catch the second stream. Good luck and have fun drawing. May the piglings win the Quidditch match. Aw, thanks. I hope I'll not disappoint. I'm sure the piggies will have a blast. Oddly enough, this piglet was actually inspired by one of my plush toys, so yeah, I decided to use it as a ref, and it didn't turn out that bad actually. I wasn't sure if the artistic freedom would show through that well, but yeah, he came through okay. He looks very impressed with himself. Hopefully not up to too much mischief. I'm sure Piggy will definitely have a blast during Drawlloween eating up all the pumpkins. Definitely going to give him a nice plump stomach. Make sure he's well fed and happy. There we go. For some reason I can hear crickets in the background music. Yeah, I love listening to crickets. My sister used to always keep pet crickets. And some of them got out, and it made for a very fun bedtime because you couldn't go to sleep. You'd only hear this one cricket roaming free. It used to be okay when you lost a female, but if you lost a male, it meant either you had to track it down or you had to go to bed with the whole cricket sound. I didn't mind so much though. I found it pretty relaxing. Just trying to riff off what we did with the last piggy. Make sure it looks the same. I always find animals' hind limbs a bit tricky to draw because they have a lot different angles than we do, and just understanding how they fold and bend over is yeah, it's a bit of a challenge at times. But they still look better than people, so you can't complain. I think it just started raining over here. I just saw that Mab Graves released some new limited edition pencils, and now she's also released the limited edition matching brushes, so that's pretty exciting. I did get her limited edition pencils when they came out. Not sure if I'm that interested in the brushes because they won't exactly last that long with me. I'm not known to be a very good brushed caretaker. I don't think many artists are, but I just don't like spending that much on brushes that aren't going to last very long. So I may just pass up on this one. I did get her last release, which was the next set of Dino Kitty viewfinders, which was pretty awesome. I thought that was one of the most incredible pieces of artwork ever made, so couldn't pass up on that opportunity. He's definitely starting to look a little bit more chubby, which is good. Gotta fatten him up. It's so funny how with a lot of classical music, we sort of revere the big masters that used to, create masterpieces such as Mozart and Beethoven, but we don't really revere any current classical musicians as we did those. So whether it's a case of good music just doesn't get produced like that anymore, or they just don't get, I guess, appreciated as much until they've passed away. That's the question. But yeah, we were talking about just Hans Zimmer and how his compositions are so amazing, but no one really pays that much attention to them, even though they're pretty much up there, well, at least to the average listener like myself, with regards to being a really good piece of music. But yeah, it just doesn't get revered as the old masterpieces do. And I think to some extent it's similar with artwork as well. We may have really good artists nowadays, but they just don't get the same kind of recognition. There we go, that fold's coming in a little bit better at the moment. Tiny bit more contrast as well. So we know what's in the front and what's in the back. This one actually took a lot longer than most of my other sketches did to plan out. So most of my others, I think, took about 10 to 15 minutes, and this one took up to an hour, just because I kept drawing her too high up and I needed to draw her a little bit lower. She didn't fit on the page, which was just my bad calculations, but it's fine. She got there in the end. So I actually ended up drawing her to begin with without the hat on, and then I was like, yeah, no, I want her to have the hat. She needs to have the hat. So I made sure I added the hat in, but it meant that she was a little bit close to the top, and meant I had to shift a lot of the drawing back down. That's okay. Hopefully she's starting to show up a little bit better. I know that these grayscale drawings can be tricky to show up through the webcam, but it's getting to a point now where you can see a little bit more of what's going on. At least that's the idea. Gotta make her dress a little bit more satiny like I had it last year. It'd be interesting to compare these two drawings since they'll be exactly the same subject, exactly the same characters. So we'll see what my progress has been over the last year since last Drawlloween. And I'll probably do a little side-by-side comparison of the two. There we go. Trying to see what I did with her boots last year though. So I don't think she had any laces, which means I need to remove these. And she had a little bit of a metal, looks like a metal bit, and more of a heel, so I'll need to adjust that heel a little bit. Make it similar to last year. I think they also went up a little bit higher. There we go. I think they had a little bit more folds as well. So we'll add all of those in. Definitely was quite pointy when we did it. I'd love to have boots like hers. They're pretty badass. Just gonna be right back. Gotta elongate them a little bit more. There we go. Drawing boots has become one of my favorite pieces of the drawing as well. Tend to enjoy probably the whole process, but yeah, got a few favorite points. Obviously, drawing the animal is my favorite part in everyone, but other than that, there's always these nice little surprises that you like to work on. Boots being one of them, which is why I try to incorporate them in almost every one of my drawings, but can't always go too crazy in every one of them. Got to have a little bit of variety. I think this is the second witch I've drawn so far. Hopefully, once I do the storybook, I'll have a whole series of her. That's going to be pretty cool. So I'll probably end up putting prints of her and each of my Drawlloween drawings up on my Etsy store once I'm done. But for now, we'll just see how they turn out to begin with. Gotta make them before we can put them up. And I've got to colour them too, so not sure how that'll all go, if I'll have enough time to get that done during October. I might. If I do, I'll definitely put them up. His little snout is so cute. I wish I could have a real little pig. Don't have enough room for one though, even a mini one. But it would be really adorable having an actual baby pig. Not sure what she's going to do with him as soon as he grows up though. He's going to get pretty big. Or maybe she can put a spell on him to stay cute and small forever. I definitely wouldn't mind if he stayed small. Imagine if you had a little pocket pig and you could carry them around everywhere. That would be awesome. Wouldn't mind a spell like that. I tend to have a consistent style with my human faces, but I don't really know what I do when it comes to animals, whether I just, I guess, try and find a consistency or if I just go with what they look like naturally. I think I have a preference for picturing them as they appear, but I'm not sure. They do definitely become less identifiable as soon as you start humanizing their eyes. A lot of them are very identifiable by their eye characteristics, I guess. Gotta give him a little bit of flecks of fur here and there. I'll just be right back real quick. Definitely got to get that background a little bit darker so you know what's in front and what's behind. I really need to have a look at what other kinds of children's books there are out about witches like her, and yeah, just see sort of what kinds of stories they do about them. Definitely enjoying all the drapes on her clothes. Gotta add that nice shimmer as well, which is what the blender is so useful for. go. Don't forget to add that metal tip on the end of her boot there. Keep it consistent with what we did last year. There we go. So I'm not sure if there's any speed limits for riding on broomsticks, but I'm sure she'll have to keep herself in check. She's definitely getting a bit more of a satiny shine to her dress now. That would the blender really help with all that. There we go. I don't want to make that dark. It's a little bit too much. So just take some off with the little gummy eraser we've got here and try and start over. It seems to have sunken in real deep. That's all good. We can remove that and start over. Try to go a little bit gentler this time. Not mess it up that much. There we go. Blend it all in. I'm sure Piggy is going to be egging her on to go faster, but she'll definitely have to make sure she keeps to the speed limits. Really relaxing music we've got on at the moment. Nice for this drawing. I'm really keen to watch a zombie movie lately. Just heard that my dad suggested a really cool one, so I'd love to give it a try. Not sure how good it would be though. Need to find someone who'd be keen to watch it with me. I'm sure I'll have many volunteers. Not sure about you guys, but my family tends to be very picky about movies. We always end up looking for a couple of hours before we find one that we're happy to go with, and by then it's too late to actually watch, so it ends up being a funny routine. I guess everyone tends to be like that. Trying not to go with the other lines and just go with the drapes so that the form comes to life a little bit better. Just emphasize those shapes and not growing and create more. There we go. Not sure if it's me or if her broom has grown in size near the end. I'll just have to have a check, even though it is changing perspective, so it is going to go down in size though, so that's all right. I guess I can keep it this size. So whenever you're shading, it's good to always remember to shade on the inside and not right to the edge. Always leave a little bit of a gap. That helps to not make the whole thing look flat. So if you just leave a tiny edge and rather shade down the middle, and then you can go closer to the edge that has more of a shadow, that works a lot better. Yeah, I'm starting with the straw bit. I'll probably do the girl's face last, but that's alright. I will get her done, one way or another. Just gonna add a little bit of a rope to tie the whole thing together over here. And it's gonna be really mangly and broken up, nice and creepy. A little bit broken and frayed near the edges. There we go. So I'll just add some shading to it as well. So we can see how the form looks, and that looks awesome. I'm gonna start adding in some details next. Be nice. I think this is the first ever broom I've drawn, so let's see how it comes out. Strangely enough, it's not generally one of the things you draw quite often. There we go. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of a shaded area down there, so it gets a little bit more variety. I'm just drawing lines and going with the shape as we go, so feeling the whole thing, letting it sort of draw itself, so to speak. In some ways, obviously it doesn't really work that way. You're still the one consciously making the decisions, but I do find if you sort of don't focus too much, just let the drawing go, that tends to work a little bit better. I think we've moved on to the end of this playlist, so I'll just put on another one. There we go. Gonna start our music back up. So I'll need to darken that so I can distinguish where the broomstick ends and where the actual broom starts. Need to darken the bits on the inside so we know what's in the foreground and what's in the background. There we go. It's starting to look lovely. I actually really like drawing brooms, to be honest. Definitely going to be drawing more of them. So once again, I'm shading not to the edges, but rather to just in between, so that we don't get the whole thing flattened out. So actually, as soon as I started doing that, a lot of my drawings just started popping, and it was so much better. It really helps. So I'm just trying to get the lines that's supposed to shine out, and just make them pop out a little bit more than the rest. There we go. Gotta refine the broomstick a tiny bit more. I think it definitely has gotten quite a bit fatter though, so I'll have to make sure I trim it down. There we go. Because obviously it's going from small to large, so we don't want it to be out of perspective. Definitely gotta keep that in check. Definitely would love to do a scarecrow at some point. I don't think I've done one of those. I might see if I can accommodate it in one of my Drawlloween prompts as well. That would be awesome if I could. Should be able to find something that's quite fitting to it, because we do have a lot of creepy prompts to go with. But I'll have a look at that a little bit later. So now I'm just shading the bottom areas, and now obviously because it's not shaded to the edge and it's got this tiny bit of a light edge, if you can see over there, you don't actually end up flattening the whole piece, which helps. But yeah, it's starting to look awesome. Yeah, some people don't tend to be happy with the drawing until its last stages. I don't know about me. I think it really depends on how good the sketch was, and well, how much, you know, if I do need to remedy a lot of it in the rendering process, then obviously it does impact that for me. And so, you know, if I did a really good sketch and it's really planned out well, it doesn't matter. But yeah, if the sketch is good, I generally like it from the onset, and I sort of just look forward to filling the whole thing in. But if the sketch is bad, I don't really like it until I've pushed through to quite a later stage. So it really just depends on the piece. I think this thing is starting to look more fluffy than mangly, but we'll figure out how to resolve that. I think if I add some longer dangly bits, it should look a little bit better here and there. There we go. It's always hard to know what to darken and what to lighten when you're playing around with things that are in the foreground, especially when one object is actually a lot darker than the other one. It can be really tricky. But you can always rub out and start over if it doesn't look like it's meant to be. So I really love the way her dress has been styled. I wish I could have a real dress like hers. Probably should try and cosplay like her and then I can design one myself. That would be fun. I have actually been meaning to cosplay as one of my characters at some point, so just gotta pick one. Now we can start the girl's face. Time to get her fleshed out. So I'll just pull up the rev and have a look at what I did last year, and then I can make sure I keep her consistent. Definitely wanted to give her a bit of a sneaky look. And she had quite intense eyelashes last year, so sorry, not eyelashes, eyelids, so I gotta make sure I keep that in mind. Gotta keep them the same and consistent throughout, especially if this one's going to end up in a book. We do want all of them to look quite similar. There we go. So she did have a somewhat quirky face, not much of a lip, but just a little bit of a quirky expression. So I'm going to make sure I keep that similar as well. Now last time I did add an earring in for her, so we'll make sure to add that in as well. And just was a tiny simple earring that we had. It just looked like that. Nothing too fancy. She's not going to a ball, she just wants to get the job done. Which in this case is creating piglets. There we go. So she did have quite a neat hairstyle last time, but because she is in the wind at the moment, I am going to let it play with her hair to some extent. So we'll definitely need to make sure it frays out. And I do want to give it some perspective. So we'll try and give that a shot. So I do think I wanted to taper down slightly, so we'll remove a little bit of that excess line work. Make sure it does come down with a nice narrow tapering, because I want to play around with the width and the keeping some thick and keeping some thin means I get a little bit of dynamic range between my my shapes. So that definitely does help. Just can't get it to float properly with the wind. We're having a little bit of trouble with the wind control here. There we go, that's much better. So I'm just trying to make sure all the shapes are a little bit more varied and a little bit more interesting. For some reason our music has stopped again. Or it's just starting a new song, I guess. There we go. We're back in action. So I'll just, in order not to give too much definition to the face, I will just play around gently with the blender until I have all the shapes the way I want them to be. That way I don't create too much of an issue with the way she looks. I can sort of start lighter and go darker as I go. Which is really helpful. For some reason the whole thing started going a little bit too stitchy over there, so I'll just redo that. See if I can blend it smoother. Don't want it to be too crass, too sharp. Definitely helps to start the face with the blender for me. Whenever I do it, I find it to be a lot easier than going with the pencil directly. I just have a lot more control of how dark things go, and you can get away with more once you start doing the line work. So you probably can't see a whole heap on the string cam, I don't think, because it does tend to wash out a little bit too much when I'm going lightly, but hopefully soon you'll be able to see a little bit more. So I'm going to make sure she has quite the aggressive expression. Definitely love making characters a little bit witty. It's definitely a lot of fun. And she definitely does have quite a witty expression to her. So probably why she ends up being one of my favorite characters to draw. Why I chose to do her again. Probably will do the whole book about her. I think I've angled it out a little bit too much, so I'll just reduce that. There we go. So if I narrow that down, it should be a little bit more like she was last year. She didn't have a whole lot of definition to her lips. She was just plain and simple. But yeah. Give her nose a little bit more shine as well. There we go. So I'm just making sure her eyes are both identical. Obviously they have to be different, but make sure they're both, you know, properly angled, properly looking the same direction. So, and I definitely think this one on her left has a few too many issues, so we'll see about redoing that. At least redo some parts of it. So it's always hard when you draw a character in one pose and then you end up changing the way they look, and you're finding it's got a lot more, you know, a lot more challenges in a different pose than you originally imagined. Sometimes they just work well in one pose, but not really that well in another. It can be quite challenging to get that to work together. But that's part of the fun. We'll probably take a short break and continue on this drawing later tonight though, because I do have a couple things I need to get done. So I will end the stream at the moment and catch you guys later. Thank you though.